I have two readings for this morning. This first one is from the book, The Irresistible Revolution, Living as an Ordinary Radical by Shane Claiborne. Claiborne writes, "Don't choose issues, choose people. Fall in love with people. Build relationships of love and friendship across boundaries of suffering and marginalization. Then you won't have to worry about which cause you need to protest. Then the issues will choose you. For it is our love, not our rage or our arrogance, that counts." The second reading is from the book Emergent Strategy by the author, pleasure activist, and Black feminist Adrienne Maree Brown. And Brown says that right now, we are in an imagination battle. Brown says some imaginations give us borders, give us superiority, and give us race as an indicator of ability. And she says she often feels trapped inside someone else's imagination and must engage her own imagination in order to break free. Here ends our readings. Well, hello, Mainline Unitarian Church. It is such a joy to be here and to share and worship with you today. I am so grateful for the ministry of this congregation, and it is an especially important to be here with your fantastic minister, the Reverend Dr. Neil Jones. I'm grateful for the ministry that you all are building together, both a deeply pastoral and prophetic ministry here in the main line. I also want to just thank Vincent and Dawn Starr. I don't think Dawn is still in the room, and Rich, and some of you through your national leadership as religious professionals. I've had the chance to know you and work with you, and I'm just grateful for the ministry and leadership that you all provide to this congregation. One of the best parts of my job, of being your UUA president, is getting to visit our congregations. For our congregations are the lifeblood of our religious tradition. And when our congregations are healthy, our faith thrives. Because it is here in our congregations where lives are changed, where children are nurtured, where our hearts and our spirits grow in depth and wisdom. It is here where our lives are saved. And I know this because when I was 5 years old, Unitarian Universalism saved my life. When I was 5 years old, my family was going through turmoil. Part of it was that my mom became a feminist, joined the ERA movement, and that wasn't what my dad had signed up for. Wasn't how he was raised. They had to fundamentally renegotiate every aspect of their relationship and their marriage. And that wasn't easy. And what it meant that as a little kid, as a young child, my home was not a place of joy or peace. But the Unitarian Universalist Church where I was raised, Elliott Chapel, outside of St. Louis, was a place of joy and love and possibility that gave me hope and sowed seeds that changed and shaped my life. And that church was even able to hold my parents such that they found their way through that really difficult time to a marriage built in mutuality and partnership. And I don't think there's a whole lot of religious communities who could say that. It's so important, our commitment as Unitarian Universalists, to so many things, but certainly women's equity and women's leadership is a critical one. So here's the thing about our congregations and why my favorite part of this job is being able to be in our congregations, because they are places of transformation in small and large ways. And when they are communities of health and vitality, they unlock possibility and hope in people's lives in ways that can make an untold difference in the conditions, not only of our own lives, but of the wider world. And I see you all at Mainline doing this work. I'm so inspired by your postcard ministry that you all have been doing. Reverend Neil was sharing this with me, and how you've gotten organized to better amplify and use your voices to speak your values to the halls of power, statewide and nationally. That is a tremendous ministry that can be a model for other congregations. You know, one of the things I've found as I've visited a lot of congregations around the country is that when our churches embrace mission and have an understanding of a calling that is about more than just serving themselves, these are the places where strong leadership, commitment, and courage develop. Now, here's the thing about mission. It's both internal and external. Mission is about the ways we nurture spiritually vital, relevant communities that welcome and minister to people at all ages, welcoming our pain and our heartbreak and our joy and our gifts, communities dedicated to ministering to children and families. And mission is also about answering the call to love and justice beyond our walls, tending to the strength and care of your own community, and embracing a powerful sense of mission beyond. These are the ingredients of congregations that have the capacity and the power to make clear and measurable impacts in the lives of their members, in the lives of the children, and in the lives of the larger world. It's why one of my very first priorities as your UUA president was to clarify the mission of the UUA and to put congregational health at the forefront. Everywhere I go, people ask, what is the UUA and what does it do? Well, the UUA's core mission is threefold: to equip congregations for health and vitality, to support and train leaders, both lay and professional, and to advance our UU values in the world. And you can see the impact of the UUA's mission in resources like our hymnals, our religious education curriculum, and the Our Whole Lives comprehensive sexuality curriculum, which saves the lives of young people every day all across this country because of the way that it teaches the importance of consent, agency, and the beauty of the spectrum of gender identity and sexual orientation. We see the impact of the UUA's mission during times of ministerial transitions with our interim ministry and ministerial settlement tools, as well as credentialing ministers, religious educators, and musicians, not just for today, but ensuring that there is a legacy of leadership for the future of our faith. And we also see it just in the day-to-day of health plan and retirement plans, so that you all, as members of this congregation, can be just employers for your staff. And most importantly, in this moment, something that's become increasingly relevant is the UUA's Disaster Relief Fund. Do you all know about the UUA's Disaster Relief Fund? So this is a fund you can give to at any time. You can take a collection for it. But when natural disasters hit our congregations or their members or their partners that they work with in community, the UUA is there with small, easily accessible grants that help them recover from disaster. And this is an increasing reality for our congregations, particularly in Texas and Florida and California. All of this is possible. All of this work is possible because of the covenant that our member congregations make to one another. This is because the UUA is, what is the UUA? The UUA is the embodiment of the covenant that all of our congregations make to each other to support one another in times of challenge and times of opportunity. There was a lay leader in the Phoenix congregation where I served who used to say, When he did his stewardship testimony during stewardship time, he would say, I don't give because of what I get from this congregation, although what I get from this congregation is immeasurable. But I give because I know that this congregation is changing people's lives in ways that I will never know. And you all here, that's happening right now in your congregation. You'll never know all the stories of people's lives who've been changed by this ministry. And when you all as a church give to the UUA, you are having an impact in the lives of churches that you will never visit, making a difference in the lives of Unitarian Universalists you'll never meet. It's because of the embodiment of our covenant and our commitment for our faith to thrive and to care for each other. And as UUA president, it is my great hope that we are increasingly a strong and effective partner to you and to all of our congregations as we nurture a powerful, prophetic, and pastoral ministry in our communities. Because the times that we are living in, both nationally and globally, are exactly the context in which we need to realize how important our liberating faith is. A tradition that holds the inherent worth and dignity of all people, the practice of democracy, the values of justice, equity, compassion, a commitment to truth and science as core values. We only have to watch the daily news to understand how much these values are under attack. Two things are clear to me right now, and I say this everywhere I go, so if you've heard me speak before, you've probably heard me say this. Number one, this is no time for a casual faith, no time for a casual commitment to your values and what you hold most dear. And number two, this is no time to go it alone. We need one another. We need stronger communities, and we need to partner beyond our own community. This is a critical moment in history. And as Unitarian Universalists, we are called to demonstrate our faith powerfully and boldly within and beyond our own walls. Now is the time to embrace more fully the deepest expression of our theology, and in particular, our universalist theology. Universalism teaches us that no one is cast out of the circle of love, that no one is disposable, and that salvation is not individual but collective. And the way we live this faith out loud is by developing greater courage and taking more action and risks for the principles of justice and equity right now in this life. Now, this is not only a deeply universalist message, I believe it is a deeply humanist message. For ours is a faith that is not concerned with the hereafter, but the here and now, and the conditions of our lives and the conditions of the lives of our neighbors. And right now, xenophobia, anti-immigrant fervor and cruelty, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, white nationalism, sexism, racism, transphobia, the climate crisis, economic disparity, poverty, lack of access to health care, voter suppression, and gun violence. I wish the list were not so long. But all of these are threatening the lives, the well-being, and the safety of our neighbors, our children, our communities, our people, all people. And they're not separate issues. They're deeply interrelated. They're rooted in a spiritual corruption that imagines hierarchy and scarcity and division. As Shane Claiborne writes, don't choose issues, choose people. Fall in love with people, because it is our love, not our rage and not our arrogance that counts. Claiborne's words remind us that it is love that breaks down the barriers of separation and division, love that reminds us of our fundamental interdependence as one humanity, love that calls us to see one another's humanity. And when I speak of love, I do not mean a passive, sentimental kind of love, but a courageous form of love. Consider the word courage. It's actually what I think we need more of, courage. We need more courage, my friends. But think of the word courage. The root of the word is cœur, the heart. Courage is heart strength. The power of the heart, the power of love to not be stopped or daunted by fear. Love is the seed and the foundation of the spiritual imagination that we need in this imagination battle that Adrienne Marie Brown so well defines about this time. So much is on the line, and that is why we are called to live our faith, our values out loud, to be our bravest, boldest, and most loving selves right now in the streets, in our congregations, in the halls of government, and in the voting booth. We are less than 14 months away from what is the most critical election in our lifetimes. You will choose your candidates as individuals, but as a movement, I propose that we you the vote. You the vote. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, out in the wider community, Unitarian Universalists are known as the people who show up. We have a disproportionate impact in our communities around issues of social justice and human dignity. We're the people who show up faithfully and consistently. So I want to challenge us over the next 14 months to not only be the people who show up, but the people who get others to show up and turn out to vote. We have an opportunity, we have the ability, and we have the power to show what it looks like for those who ascribe to a faith of love to challenge the forces of hate and division that threaten our future and our children's future. What happens in November 2020 matters to everyone. And what we start doing tomorrow, we begin to write what happens on that day. Now, the third part of the UUA's mission, I told you, equip congregations, train leaders, is to advance our values in the world. And we do this through partnership with our congregations and with movement builders across the world. From now until November 2020, till the election, we will be rolling out a comprehensive, multi-tiered, association-wide strategy that is designed to be accessible to Unitarian Universalists everywhere. The UUA's organizing strategy team will be collaborating with movement partners as well as UU organizations, statewide advocacy networks. You all in Pennsylvania have a statewide advocacy network, and individual congregations to help us all grow and sharpen our skills for faith-based electoral organizing. And we believe that in places like Wisconsin and Arizona and Pennsylvania, we can make a critical difference because of how many Unitarian Universalists we have in these states and how well positioned we are in both cities, suburbs, and rural communities. We have a critical faith voice to bring. I know many of you may already be engaged in this work. If so, now is the time to bring it up a notch. And if you're not yet engaged, find a way to get involved. And this is not just political. Nothing I have said violates your 501c3 status. Nothing I have said. For us, as Unitarian Universalists, this is faithful, moral action. because we hold democracy and the right of all people to have a voice and a vote as part of our 7 principles, part of our core values. We run our churches by democracy. We believe in democracy. And right now, democracy is being attacked, right? It's growing thin, and it's not just right now, it's been happening for a generation. Pulling back on voting rights, increasingly effective voter suppression efforts. It's not just about democracy, though. It is about the inherent worth and dignity of all people. It is about our care for the planet. It is about safety and ending gun violence. It is about our commitment to justice and equity. We can't win on any of the issues that we care deeply about if we don't have fundamental change in our elections. And if we start now this fall with voter registration efforts, with finding community partners to join with putting organizers in a couple critical places to strengthen our congregations, then when 2020 begins, we've already built some of the muscle that we're going to need to knock on doors, to make phone calls, and to turn out the vote. The success of this campaign will require both financial support and dedicated leaders to bring this work back to their congregations. I hope over this fall you will consider a collection for You the Vote when you share your Sunday morning offering. And I want to challenge us to think about partnership in new ways. The reason we were able to make a difference in Arizona, and we made a considerable difference in the politics of Arizona, was through dedicated voter registration efforts, through turning out unlikely voters, for partnering with immigrant rights groups and working directly in the immigrant and Latino community of Arizona to turn out the vote. It's also true that Arizona had helpful progressive policies around voting. Permanent vote by mail in Arizona, right? You all in Pennsylvania don't even allow any early voting. There are so many ways that voter suppression is happening and silencing people all over this country. This election matters if we are going to turn the tide back on that. Imagine what it would mean. Imagine what it would mean if 150,000 UUs turned out 500,000 new voters across this country. People ready to vote their values, educated, engaged voters ready to vote their values. Our voice, our values, our ability to show up matters, and it is needed right now. We are small, but we are mighty. As Cornel West says, we hit above our fighting weight. We need that. We are that mighty love and spirit-centered courage is exactly what is needed today. These are difficult and dangerous times. And one of the challenges is that in times of change and disruption, there's a tendency for people, for institutions to withdraw into despair or just to grow fearful and feel like they can't make change. You know, the chaotic political environment we live in, the systems of oppression, they are actually designed to lead us into despair and to make us think we don't have power as people. It is exactly in these times when we need boldness, when we need audacious leaders and audacious communities that are showing a new way forward, one that is life-giving, life-affirming, love-centered, and justice-centered. Our congregations are life-saving, life-affirming communities, and they counteract the forces of greed, the imaginations of greed and division and fear that threaten our humanity and our planet. Our ministries matter. And I believe that when we live our mission and our values boldly within and beyond our walls, that we are one of the most powerful forces for good in our communities. But only together with courage and love and deep commitment can we be the people that we are called to be. I am grateful for this honor of serving as your UUA president. And I know that I can't do what I do, the UUA can't do what it is called to do without your strong, consistent, and generous support. I'm inspired by what we're already doing across this country, the ways we're embracing a deeper practice of community and commitment. You all, for over 25 years, have been an honor congregation and have supported the UUA at the fullest level of what is asked. You are a leader in this. You are among our most generous congregations. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It is my deep honor to be in this time, in this faith, and in this work with you. May we keep saying yes to the ways that we are being called, and may we love one another more generously and more fully. May it be so.